but I'm going to tell you everything I learned and took away from this call that I had with TSG. So for game modes, and right now I'm talking about just the private beta. By the time we get to open beta, there's going to be more features, things are going to change. I'm actually not even going to go into a lot of the numbers for damage and points or stuff like that, because that is all subject to change as well. But for this next private beta release, we're going to get 3 different game modes. We're going to get your casual game mode, your ranked game mode, and your custom match. So your casual game mode is just going to be, you just want to hop in and try a new deck. It's unclear whether they're going to have some kind of like elo or ranking behind the scenes to match you up, but that's basically like the
what we know about the ranking and the elo in the back of it, you're not going to have, probably not going to have, everything subject to change, like Najib said. You're probably going to have a hidden, or not really hidden, MMR, matchmaking rating. So if you win a game, your MMR goes up, and if you lose a game, your MMR goes down. If you place against somebody with a higher rating than you, and if you win, you get more points, and if you lose less points. And if you play something lower than you, if you win, you don't get so many points because he's lower rated than you. But if you lose versus somebody that's lower rated than you, you're going to lose a lot of points. So this is the classic MMR matchmaking rating that you have everywhere in all the other games. And this helps us to not pair the beginners versus the pros and the other way around, right? So in the beginning, everybody needs to play some games to get this MMR adjusted, so everybody has kind of MMR that represents their skill. But once we have that, you should usually face people that are in your skill range. But you're not gonna have official leaderboard. You're gonna see your MMR, and therefore you can kind of figure out where you are, where your standings are.
The free-for-all, you just made a new deck and you want to try it out. The ranked mode is what's going to get you on the leaderboards. So you will have a ranking score and a rank on the leaderboards. And this is when you'll queue up for a match. It'll match you up with someone of a similar level. And just like any other game, if you beat them, you'll get some points, move up the ranking. If you lose, you'll drop down the ranking.
I didn't realize he was going to explain that right away. I guess before that he was talking about casual, and it does make sense that in casual you also have an MMR. So even if you're not playing ranked, you have like the hidden MMR. You don't see your rating, but you're still going to get a matchmaking rating. So your casual experience is still going to be nice, and you're not going to be matched against people way above or way below your skill. But in ranked, you see this MMR, and that's your rating.
A little bit. And then the custom match is going to be where you can actually challenge somebody. And that's going to be great for, anyone making content.
Yeah, that's the best part. We get custom. First, they didn't want to bring in custom matchmaking, but now they do. And now we can do tournaments and everything. We can actually challenge each other for games.
Because I can talk to, TSG or Jimberino or somebody else in the space and just say, hey, send me your little code or whatever it is. I'll plug it in, and then I can just challenge them and actually play somebody I know. And on that note, I'm going to try more streaming, and when this is playable, hopefully soon, I'll get to that a little later. I want to challenge some of you from this community, especially those who are consistently watching these videos. So next we have win condition. So
yeah, we should do that too. We're just going to do live streams and anybody can come in and challenge. That's going to be fun.
I was told I could use from a match with TSG. You can see right there, TSG. Yeah, he lost this one, even though he did win the one that I watched him play. These green and red marks are each round. I'm not sure exactly who this is.
Dude, the green screen is a bit scuffed. It looks like he has some Aquaman fingers, hands.
So he won the first 2 rounds. TSG came back and won 3 rounds in a row, and it went back to Nick to finish it off. Now, how you win this is, anyone familiar with the private beta already in survival mode, is you have mastery points, and when you put alluvials or augments onto the board, you use those mastery points. So it's going to be the same way here, except at the end of each round, whatever alluvials you have left, those mastery points are the damage that you're going to put on your opponent's drone. And it's not just the alluvials, it's what's on top of the alluvials as well. So say there's a round where I finish and it's just my Ramfire left, which let's say has 100 mastery points. But I also have an augment on it that has 25 mastery points. So I'm going to take that 125 points, and it's going to be the damage that I put on my opponent's drone. Now, if you think about this, these matches can play out for a long time, and they can have big swings. Like, if you're going back and forth and you're winning a round with 1 alluvial left, your opponent wins a round with 1 alluvial left, you can go back and forth. It could be up to 10 rounds or even more. And with that being said, you could win 3 or 4 rounds in a row and then just lose horribly. Like if you win 4 rounds in a row with just one alluvial left, you might put 50 damage, 100 damage, 75 damage, and then all of a sudden you have a bad round and you just get completely demolished and your opponent has all of their alluvials left on the board. That could be one turn where you have 600-700 points that just gets smacked onto you. So that's going to be great for, entertainment, just esports and making content. So we'll move on to...
One thing I'm wondering about is if there's going to be any punishment or reward if you win and lose. Because otherwise it doesn't really matter. You can really use your life points as a resource until and really wait for your late game. If you bring a late game deck and just like you could deliberately lose the first 5 rounds because you're playing for the late game and you don't mind losing HP. So maybe it would be good to bring in some mechanic that rewards winning and losing. Similar in TFT where you have win and lose streaks.
Legendary items. So obviously this isn't a real screenshot. I just kind of made this up. These are some old augments that I found I had saved somewhere. But basically on rounds, you can see here 1, 4, 7. So on the first round and then every 3 rounds after that, you'll get to bid on some of these legendary items. Now you're going to have 4 tokens or whatever they want to call it to bid on these. So you can see I have, I put 1 here, 3 on this side. You can spread those out however you want, but you're obviously blind to what your opponent is doing. And let's say I did a situation like this where I really wanted this one over here. So I put 3 of my tokens on this and I put 1 on the other one. Let's say my opponent also put 3 on this one and 1 on this one. It'll cancel it out and nobody will get anything. Now say my opponent decided to put 1 on this, 1 on this, and 2 on this. Then I'm going to get this 1 legendary enhancement and my opponent's going to get the other 3. So this
kind of in my head, there's 2 plays right now that crystallize themselves. Either you do the 3-1, if there is a really strong augment that you want to either get or deny from your opponent, because if you both put 3 coins on it, it's going to be dropped. Nobody will get it. So either there's one really strong augment that you got to contest, and then you make the 3-1. Or the other play is, if they're all kind of the same, you just put 1 coin on each of them, and then you're going to counter the 3-1 tactic by getting actually 2 augments, and the other one is your opponent is only going to get 1 augment. This one is going to be dropped, and you will get the 2 middle ones in this case, if you put 1 coin on each of them.
There's going to be a lot of strategy behind that, depending on which augment you really want or which augment you really want to prevent your opponent from getting.
Because the other choices are like 2 coins on 2 things. But then if you put it where the other guy has 3 on it, it's kind of lost. So you would then again only get 1 augment. Yeah, so I feel the 3-1 and the 1-1-1-1 is the best.
Or which augments you think your opponents are going to try for. And I feel like if you can end up in those situations where you get 2 or 3 of these and your opponent only gets 1 or nothing, that can be a big factor for that next round. So team building. So this is actually a screenshot of, I guess, TSG's favorite deck so far. Also, they're not calling them decks. They're calling them teams. I didn't really get a good explanation on why that is, but I guess we're going away from calling it a deck and we're calling it a team. So your team.
Yeah, it's not going to be a deck builder, it's going to be a team builder, and we go into the matches with our team, not with our deck. Just because there is so much biases to card games, especially in Web3, in crypto gaming. There is hundreds card games. And we don't want to be associated with them because we are not really a card game. So it's kind of misleading if you say those cards and deck builder and everything, and then you go in the match and it's actually an auto battler, which has nothing to do with a card game. Just that your illuvials come in form of a card, but they are not cards that you're actually playing. Except maybe the augments would more be like cards. So yeah, the overall naming of this will be deck builder, team builder, and we have a team, and we don't want to say anything about cards anymore because that's misleading.
Teams are made up of 30 different cards. I believe you have to have a minimum of 6 alluvials, but other than that, it's a free-for-all. So you could go in and just have your favorite 6 alluvials and then a bunch of augments and weapons and armors. TSG.
Well, you would at least want to bring 8 alluvials, right? Because it's so strong to just fill up your board and have a full board. You never want to just bring 6 or 7 or 5 illuvials because you're able to place 8 illuvials. And I think the meta will be that we bring like 12 illuvials at least. So you have like 3-4 Illuvials that you're using to get through the early game, and then you have your late game Illuvials. But that's just theory crafting.
In here, I think, let's see, 12, 14.
You can see it up there.
14 alluvials, some weapon, armor, and augments. Once we can get into making these teams, I'm going to dive a lot deeper into it. I already have some strategies I'm thinking of in my head, but until you can...
For example, I don't think we need to bring 5 weapons. You maybe bring 2 or 3. Where you can swap around. It's going to be really nice to swap between different weapons to try to counter and outplay your opponent, because you can swap your weapons for free on your ranger. You can move him for free. So your ranger will be the most flexible thing in the games, in the rounds. So it's going to be good to bring some weapons. I don't think we need 5. But maybe we do, because you just bond it once, but then you swap through it and maybe you can activate different composite. Play your opponent.
Really, put it down there and test it out. It's hard to really go too in-depth on it, but you're going to have to balance having a deck that has synergies that work together, but also diversification for whatever your opponent might have. And if you're thinking more of the late game, you might want to stack up more on the augments down here, because if you can only fit 6 to 8 of these alluvials on the board and you want more points, you're going to have to load them up with these augments. So once we get this team builder out, which is going to be starting on the website, it won't be in-game immediately. I don't know exactly how that works, but like you'll build it on the website and transfer it over to the game and then use it within the game, just for now. And then
I don't think you have to transfer it. You log in the game with your account, you log in on the website with your account, and as soon as on the website you do something, it will probably be there in-game. I think this goes automatically.
And let's move on to launch dates. So there's actually 2 different items here. Like I just said with the team builder, it's going to be on the website and not in the game yet. So there's a chance that these don't actually have to be launched at the same time.
That would be nice.
They both already look ready to go. So I would expect these to come soon, although I don't know for sure. But I also wouldn't be surprised if this team builder came out a little earlier, because if it's ready to go and if it's not tied to the actual game launcher, maybe they let that come out first. We can start building some.
I know it sounds like it's the easiest and the most logic way to bring out the team builder first, because it's probably ready before the game. But I'm also sure those are in the back end really tightly connected to each other. So bringing out just the team builder without the back end connection to the game might be another task in itself, which increases the workload to just bring a standalone team builder out. So I guess they're going to come at the same time, just to keep the workload as low as possible and bring out the full package as soon as possible.
Some teams coming up with some ideas. And then when the update for the PvP does finally come out, we already have our team builders in place. Now, again, I don't know for sure on timing on any of these, but like I said, watching it, I didn't see one bug. There wasn't any crashes. From what I hear, they're playing this a lot internally, and they're not really having too many issues. So this was originally delayed. It should have been out in Q3, and since they moved the target date to Q4, I really wouldn't expect it to be the end of Q4. I'd say we might be getting this pretty soon. If we get into December, I'd be shocked. I'm gonna put my money somewhere in November there. Hopefully before the Thanksgiving holiday.
I agree. It should happen somewhere in November. The game has been almost ready for a long time, and they're just fixing some critical bugs right now. So it's not like there has to be a lot done still. It's just testing and polishing and just removing the critical bugs. So it's ready for the mass beta testing.
Holidays, at least here in the United States, because I'm going to have some time off and I'll be able to play as much as I can. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you like this new setup, if it works. I'm just going to try